Then I took a smidge and applied it down there.
This one's wife. As ever, it's a cash grab. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. As you know, this one's wife has decided to extend her brand into the provision of wine. No information has been given as to the amount of bottles that were actually sold, other than they were sold out, and you were committed to spending at least $110 purchasing 3 bottles of an untested rosé wine plus the relevant shipping fee. This is quite an ask, and invariably there will be some individuals, because it's linked to her, who feel that they have to make the purchase. But we haven't had any feedback with regard to anybody that has tried it, and anybody who might be said to have a degree of sophistication and expertise with regard to wine tasting. Whether that will happen remains to be seen if any of the wine critics decide to lay their hands upon it. Nevertheless, there's already been observation about the nature of this one's wife utilising wine as an aspect of her as ever Potemkin brand. Sam Wilson in The Standard observes, "If you've ever despaired at the cultural wedge that the world of wine insists on driving between the great and the good and the rest of us, consider your troubles over. This one's wife has made her latest contribution to the world with a Californian rosé named As Ever. A fund for the homeless or school building program is surely in the pipeline. It's a peculiar choice, given that her blog, The Tig, was named after this one's wife's favourite wine, Tianello, a red. But this new Napa Valley juice is, press material insists, characterised by a flavour profile of stone fruit and gentle minerality. It has the required lasting finish, and is a Goldilocks blend of Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, and Petit Verdot grapes. It is infused with joy and whimsy," said this one's wife. Who needs a WSET qualification when you can just say things like this? In case you were unaware, the WSET is the Wine and Spirit Education Trust and is the world's leading provider of drinks qualifications. I think we will all know that this one's wife doesn't have any qualifications from there. Nevertheless, she describes it as infused with joy and whimsy. I should have seen this coming with the release of With Love, Meghan, a Netflix-sponsored tour de force of bone idleness that the Duchess seemed convinced would have the masses falling over themselves in admiration for chopping fruit and arranging it like a nice rainbow, or revealing a recipe for jam that actually turned out to be made in a factory 2,000 miles from her mansion home, the same factory that puts together her £9 packs of tea. If you ask me, the most delicious thing she made was the mistake of inadvertently confirming what surely many of us suspected, that the Duchess is a wealthy person with main character syndrome, role-playing what she imagines life to be like for the plebs. Now, pausing there, that is certainly an insightful observation. People often talk about main character syndrome. Its true manifestation is narcissism, whereby the narcissist is the main character in everything that they do. And it's also the case that this one's wife does indeed role-play at what she imagines life to be like for other people because she can't intuit it. It's because her narcissism isn't that evolved, and she doesn't have emotional empathy that enables her to understand people in a way that non-narcissists can. Proof that even with so much time on her hands to dream up what she fancies doing, she seemingly still can't be asked, and so phones it in. This author picking up on the inherent laziness of this one's wife combined with her absence of talent. The wine is sourced similarly close to home to the jam, a mere 6-hour drive away. Why here? This one's wife wanted to work with Fairwind's estate, which was all but destroyed in the 2020 wildfires, A nice move, granted, as according to the Daily Mail, she wanted to lean in and help a Californian business rebuild. Facade management. But Fairwinds is hardly a small-time producer. Since the fires, devastating true, the place pivoted to producing wines for celebrities. On their books are Barry Manilow and the TV show Yellowstone. They even make wines for sports teams. So was this deliberate choice by this one's wife to show support for a once beleaguered producer? Or did she just look up places that bottle wine for the famous? It's not a novel idea. Companies like Benchmark Wine specialise in bottling celebrity plonk with Kylie Minogue, Gary Barlow, Gordon Ramsay, Graham Norton and Sarah Jessica Parker, all on its roster. Still, sources insist this one's wife involved herself in every aspect of the wine. Every time she had friends over, she would test the different blends out on them and then give notes back to the expert winemaker that it needed more of this or less of that, the source said. This is a custom-made wine. She's even used her own handwriting for the label. Well, of course she would do, because after all, she believes that her calligraphy is so stylish, and she has to ensure that it's all about her. She thinks that she's injecting something of her into what she does, and that's special. What she doesn't realise is that it's her narcissism that makes her do this, because it has to be all about her. It begs the question, how involved with the wine do you actually want this one's wife to be? Is she really the person whose taste you trust? It's not as though with Love Meghan, the live, laugh, love of TV shows, as the Standard put it, revealed her to be a master in the kitchen. One of her recipes was to add olive oil to hummus. At another point she said, "Good night, sweetheart," as she put a cake in the oven. You can see her now in the vineyards, pirouetting between the grapes and whispering words of projected earnings. Perhaps this one's wife's eye for detail isn't all it's cracked up to be either, with the launch date for the wine being July the 1st, the same July the 1st that would have been the 64th birthday of Diana, Princess of Wales, the same Diana who would have been her mother-in-law had she not been killed by a drunk driver. But in the world of wine, where winemakers and vineyards can date back generations, to those who make its consumption a vocation, devoting years of their life and paying handsomely for the privilege of the sommelier title, what place does celebrity wine have? Many celebrities get into wine because it's something they claim to have a love of, but it often seems more like an industrialization of clout, of diversifying their income streams under the guise of a passion project. Celebrities will often play on the elitism associated with the world of wine, positioning themselves as a conduit between it and the consumer. There is an irony here. Let's assume the wine is good, and we believe that this one's wife harbours a deep affection for the art of wine making. The Duchess has painted herself into a corner. On the one hand, the cult of celebrity upon which her empire is built will likely generate enough sales to validate all her hard work, trademark. But on the other, she'll have to reconcile the likelihood of people buying it for the name alone. But here's the rub. None of this is a life or death matter. It's an indulgence rather than having any actual skin in the game. You might even call it a cash grab. And essentially, that's what it all comes down to for this one's wife. It's a cash grab. Now, I don't see that she's going to make the millions through the selling of the wine, because once again, incompetent businesswoman that she is, there isn't enough of it to sell in the first place to make a huge amount of money. And as I pointed out before, that this is a Potemkin brand. It appears to be a brand, and the magical thinking of this one's wife is such that she believes by manufacturing scarcity, by heralding the fact that it has been sold out, that she is wanting to tempt somebody to come along and say, I haven't got anything better to do with my many hundreds of millions, I'll buy into your brand. The fact is, it is about the cash, not so much making cash from the sales, because there hasn't been enough of them to generate sufficient money. What she's expecting is that someone will come along and buy the brand from her, a brand that is unproven, a brand that is manufactured, a brand that doesn't actually truly sell anything. in substantial quantities for a huge amount of money. And as here, the scepticism that is articulated by this particular journalism demonstrates how, once again, it is a vanity project of this one's wife, yet again, generated by her narcissism. That it is a half-assed attempt to do something that she never succeeds in doing it properly, and that's because her narcissism, as always, as ever, is focused on short-termism rather than the big picture. It is a cash grab. It's an attempt to cause people to think, brilliant, I'll buy it. Not so much the product, but the brand. And it isn't going to work. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.